out of this facility. It's one of, I'm told, maybe 5 or 6 facilities that would be equipped to this level in the world, and so it really is remarkable that we've got this much space and all of the instrumentation that goes on, and it's really quite amazing. So I know there'll be some demonstrations later and people have a chance to try it out. But just remember, where your chair's sitting and where you're walking, you're being monitored and sensed all the time. So, in terms of how were we able to get here, tremendous thanks to the Canada Foundation for Innovation, who were big federal sponsors of this through a very highly competitive granting competition. The Ministry of Research and Innovation in Ontario, and John Gerritson's here today. So John, thank you for the support of your government in providing matching funds as well. And then Queen's is also a donor that provided some required in-kind matching. And then our private donors, who, thank you very much, the McGeechees are here, and the Dickett's, I think, are coming, and others who've donated to this. It wouldn't be possible without that partnership of local and private donors, and then government matching funding to do these sorts of developments. And finally, I wanted to sort of officially thank the Board of Directors of Hotel Dieu for their support and open arms in welcoming this facility here. It really is a great thing for the hospital, and it does fit in very nicely to our new, not so new strategic plan that we've had in place for a couple of years now. So again, thanks to all. This wouldn't be possible without cooperation of many different people and levels of government. So this is, yes, so thank you. Thank you to all those donors. So this lab is an expansion and a new partnership with Hotel Dieu. The Human Mobility Research Center has been around for 30 years maybe, and it started out as an allegiance between some orthopedic surgeons and engineering professors at Queen's, and the initial site was in the Ngata wing at KGH, and it's grown and been renovated there, and its footprint's now much larger, again with support of Canada Foundation for Innovation as well. And there are now labs situated in a number of different facilities at Queen's as well as the KGH site, so it really is becoming a multi-site network, and it's great to add Hotel Dieu to that. So HMRC is involved in enhancing people's mobility through computer-assisted surgery, tissue engineering, new cartilage research, gait analysis. There's a whole variety of initiatives that come together, and the key to success for HMRC is that it's been a multidisciplined approach with professors in engineering, computer science, chemical engineering, biochemistry, rehabilitation therapy, rheumatology, and others that I'm missing, I'm sure. So it really is a very unique collaboration that really has gained worldwide attention and is seen as a successful, one of the key pillars of research at Queen's. And Stephen Liss is here today, who's the Vice Principal of Research. Steve, thank you for being here. And I know that HMRC is one of the key centers in Queen's vision for research in the future. So without much more ado on my part, I would like to introduce Tom Harris. Tom is the Vice Principal of Advancement at Queen's. I've known Tom for a long time. He's a former was a chemical engineering professor and then the Dean of Engineering at Queen's, and for quite a while was the chair of the board of HMRC. So he's had a very strong interest in this whole initiative and was a real driving force behind getting this CFI application in place. So Tom, a lot of credit to you for pushing hard behind the scenes, and welcome and thank you.
As Vice Principal of Advancement, I get the opportunity to go to events like this. But this is a special one for me in that I grew up with this in my career as Dean. I've gotten to see the energy and enthusiasm of the faculty members, the students, the clinical staff, their great commitment to this project, their sense of great social purpose that happens here. But of course, this project just doesn't happen with energy and enthusiasm. It does require support. And as Dave has mentioned, there are many participants who've helped make this happen. Partnerships today are more important than ever. Problems of the world aren't divided into nice, neat boundaries, and some of the interesting solutions come when multiple partners work across different discipline boundaries. So we're very appreciative of the support of the hospitals, the university, both levels of government. Mr. Gerritsen, thank you for being here to recognize the contributions from the Ontario government, and of course our private partners in this, which I'll speak to in a moment. One of the interesting things about being dean over this period of time is that I got to hire many of the faculty members in engineering who are working on this project, and so it's very nice to see their evolution and growth as individuals, as researchers, and as teachers. The reason this is particularly special for me as well is that I've known the McGetchie family for some time. I met Joan and Don nearly 15 years ago. I had the pleasure and privilege of being invited into their home on several occasions. And Don was a graduate from the 1940s. I just tell students I'm a graduate in the last century. That's just what I say. But Don had met every principal, had met 10 principals from Wallace to Wolfe, and a long-time supporter of Queen's across many different areas in engineering, nursing, School of Medicine. He had a keen interest in the life and well-being of the institution, but he had demanding standards for excellence. He was a gentleman in the truest sense of the word, but excellence came first. So I got to know Don and Joan over the past 15 years, and it was a real privilege for me. And the two of them have made wonderful contributions to Queen's over a protracted and long period of time. And over the past year, I got to meet Don's daughter Lynn and her husband Bruce, and Don's son Neil. And so it was also nice to have a chance to talk with you about seeing Don and Joan's vision go forward, and part of this is being expressed here today. I've not yet had a chance to meet Michael and Betty Dicketts, and I look forward to doing that. Philanthropy is an important part of all that we do. Unlike taxes, it's voluntary. And people have many choices as to where they might want to invest their money. The world today is one of woe. And so there are lots of important places in which you can invest money to help people directly. But universities aren't about woe. They're about ideas. And today we're celebrating an idea. The ideas of our researchers about what the future might hold. And so we appreciate philanthropy in all our society because it meets a great many needs which aren't met through government, but it's also voluntary in that individuals get to direct their money to projects that are meaningful to them. And we are very grateful to the McGetchie family and the Dicketts family for their contributions. We have excellent faculty and students and staff, but your contributions provide opportunity, which they wouldn't otherwise have. And so today is really a celebration of where excellence meets opportunity. So I want to thank all of our partners who helped make this happen, and a special thanks to the McGetchie family for this. Thank you very much. I'm now going to introduce my colleague, Vice Principal Stephen Liss. Stephen became Vice Principal Research at Queen's in September 2010. He was previously at the University of Guelph. This past month, Dr. Liss has released a new strategic research plan for Queen's, working in collaboration with our faculty members, and has launched Queen's first research magazine, E-Affect. We were very fortunate at Queen's to have such a strong support for research from the administration, and Stephen is a driving force for change and for highlighting and emphasizing the value of research, both in terms of its economic and social innovation. So without any more, I'll introduce Stephen to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's a real pleasure to be here. It's always wonderful when we have the opportunity to celebrate our successes, but also the promise of the type of impact our research will make in the world today. One of the key features of our research and our successes at Queen's is the role that partnerships play. And I'm delighted to have had the opportunity to meet the McGetchie family this morning who've contributed to this initiative. Of course, Mr. Gerritsen for the support the provincial government provides, and in recognition of all of you who also contribute so much to the efforts and of the successes and the research activity. At Queen's, research represents one of the most dynamic elements of the university enterprise. Consistently ranked among Canada's leading universities, Queen's is widely recognized for excellence in scholarship, research, social purpose, and spirit. The university is a beacon for outstanding students, offering a distinctive learning environment that fosters the spirit of inquiry, social engagement, and leadership. And this lab is a great example of such a learning environment. It is a state-of-the-art facility ideally located within Hotel Dieu Hospital, providing easy access to the orthopedic clinics. And I must say, I'm particularly delighted to be here around this particular initiative and the growing work to expand the research profile activities of our hospitals in Kingston, working together and with the university. The laboratory will foster interdisciplinary collaborations between engineering, orthopedics, and rehabilitation that are essential to the focus and innovation of research and translating that new knowledge into clinically important applications. It's certainly clear to see how that work will be performed here and will translate into benefits for all Canadians, demonstrating how, and once again, how our research here in Kingston and at Queen's makes a difference in the world. And the reason it makes a difference in the world, as I've alluded to with respect to the students who come to study at Queen's at the undergraduate and graduate level, but they do so in working collaboratively with outstanding faculty and researchers that are drawn to Kingston and to our research community here. So it is my pleasure to introduce you to the lead research, without whom this lab would not have come along and into being. Kevin DeLucio received his bachelor's, master's, and PhD from Queen's University, and after completing his master's degree, he spent 3 years with DuPont Canada. He did his postdoctoral training at the Orthopedic Biomechanics and Biomaterials Lab at Massachusetts General Hospital, and he began his academic career at Dalhousie University, another fine university, of course, where he established the Dynamics of Human Motion Laboratory, but we were fortunate enough to learn back to an even better university, Queen's, in 2006, where he is currently an associate professor in the Department of Mechanical and Materials Engineering. Please join me in welcoming Dr. DeLucio.
Thank you. Some people are still standing back there. I'm excited. This is really good. I want to start. It's so nice to be able to look out, and you thank people all the time in talks, scientific talks. You go around, and at the end of your talk, you have a slide that was up there at the end that has the acknowledgement of funding organizations, and they never see it, right? They're not there. It's really nice to thank the people that are here. This is wonderful. I want to start. We're in this room, and I want you to feel for the transition that's come about when, I think it was 7 years ago, I walked around here and tried to picture this space, and I didn't. I just thought, well, I'll take any space. So we got to go to I hesitate to show videos, and I was told not to do a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to try and keep this short, but there's a 2-minute video that just takes you through where it was. Okay? Okay. So they nodded. So that's over here. That's where our air conditioning units are stored. It became better. Fume hoods were huge. Huge fume hoods. Where's Al? That's the back corner. There's a skylight there that I really wanted to keep. The owner wouldn't let me because apparently the skylights, you can see it hanging down, they really interfere with the camera, so it kind of made sense. The challenge is that centerpiece of flooring that is here, and I'll talk to that in a little bit in terms of the design of it. Had to be there's sensors embedded in here that we wanted to get mounted, and they had to be, and I'll say this exactly, perfectly level. And so this is us trying to solve many of the problems and change orders as we came in, because we really didn't know what we were doing when we were trying to design this space. We thought we had an idea, but as the space expands, just like doing home renovations, your ideas kind of change. So yeah, that's what we started. This is the perfectly level floor. I don't know what that is. That's just the floor. I don't know why that went in there. And that's a close-up. So what it is cement that's been laid down to give us a foundation, then a water level, slow curing epoxy that's laid on top of that, and then we bond stainless steel to that. We'll talk to the sensors in the demonstration in a bit. I think this is just about over. We really appreciate that the architects that were involved in this right at the beginning had an idea for the space and wanted it to be something that would inspire people and make you feel, really, really happy in terms of the design. This is some of the stuff in terms of us using it on the way, and this is where the music thing that's been turned down. Listen to me. The song behind this is "Walk This Way." But we officially moved into the space in terms of being to do stuff in here probably last fall, and equipment came, the cameras came just before Christmas or so, and what we've done since then is really just play. Let's push the limit. Before we start bringing patients in here, let's dream up what we can do and start playing around with the space. And that's some of the things that you see here in terms of the real minds of creativity in terms of the spaces, the graduate students that are involved. This treadmill in specific, in terms of the equipment that we've got, it's the first one that's been installed in Canada. There's only 5 or 6 of these things in the world. So the group that was designing this, one of the companies that was involved, was really trying to push the limits in terms of what we can do, and it's worked out very well because it gives us some functionality that I'll kind of speak to in a minute. Okay, so that's where we've come from. I only have 3 things that I want to do here. So I got 3 cards. I'm gonna get lost. Maybe 4. One is to do the thank you, and the thank yous go as I mentioned before, but they're beyond that in terms of the people that we don't see that really became involved, the architects as well that were here, the construction company. Many of the things were very, very specific and mattered. For example, trying to get the height in this, you see us pointing in some of those pictures. Every inch of space that we could get in here mattered, and at one point you could see where the construction company, the foreman involved, really got it. He spent his Easter weekend in babysitting the epoxy in here to get it done right. Queen's University, in terms of the people like those from procurement. Where is she? That I drove completely crazy because I didn't know you can't take contractors out for dinner, and and when the guys were coming to demo the lab, I thought it was a great idea to bring a case of beer in. Like, this is a good thing. And she just shook her head and never got angry with me. So it was very good to have that. Leona, the postdoc that I brought in Leona, and my other students, Scott, Ross, and Leona, were kind of it took us 3 or 4 people to manage the construction of this, to make sure it happened, to solve problems that occurred. And then the graduate students, if you see people in purple shirts, they're the real kind of the creativity behind here. The blue shirts, I'm colorblind too. But in terms of getting these kind of the demos that you're going to see, so we're going to do a short kind of explanation of the equipment here that's kind of formal, and then I'm going to encourage you. The students have set up 5 or 6 stations. You can see some videos on the TVs of the kind of things that we've done, but it's interactive. So we'd like you to come up. Any golfers in here if you want to get a golf swing analysis, we've brought in our resident golf pro. You want to try out, see how strong you are, there's a muscle testing machine over there. The treadmill will tilt at 20 degrees and do up to about 40 kilometers an hour if you feel so fit. And there's some muscle activity. So we want you to test those things out if you can. The other thing is I want to celebrate. I really wish there was some beers here because this has been a while in the going. When we walked in the space, I've been here now at Queen's for 6 years, and Neil asked me before what some of the delays were. If any of you have taken on large projects around the house, the delays are things that you'd never expect. Doing things in a hospital. You can see the construction. We were afraid of asbestos. Equipment stuff. The fact that they were building this treadmill and trying to solve it as they came. But that time has given us, I think, the opportunity to do things right, to get things exactly kind of the way we want them. As we fine-tune things over the last few months and push the limits, we're now 100% operational ready. We're doing clinical trials now, and it's nice to get to that point. But it's, I was talking to somebody earlier about, I have a small little sailboat, and you spend, at least my boat hopefully will be in the water this weekend. So I've been very busy with it. Doing all the construction and work on these things that you have to do. If you don't enjoy that, I really like it. And I really enjoyed the last... I don't enjoy that. It's the only thing I want to disconnect. But I feel like we've been rigging this thing for a year, and it's been really, really fun, and now we've got a chance to be able to sail it. And let's celebrate. Let's open some bubbly after, suppose, and go. I should tell you about what this can do. The research that we're trying to get this, or that we've designed this space to do is very it's kind of open as far as your imaginations, but what our thought is in terms of musculoskeletal injuries and disease. So things that affect mobility, right? Arthritis. And our goal here is let's characterize, measure the biomechanical environment of the knee or joint that you're interested in to measure those effects on that. If you think of seeing an orthopedic surgeon, many of the diagnoses systems and tools that we use are static in terms of x-rays, right? You take a look at the person. What we want to do here is measure function. How well can you do the activities of daily living and leisure that you want to do? Does this knee implant really allow you to garden better than the other one? Well, we can simulate some of those kind of activities there. So the researchers that in terms of, we mentioned the collaborations that we have here, and that's why it has to be so flexible. So we have this sensor array here that we can position in any way that you can kind of think of. The room that somebody walked in, one of the members of the board came in and says, when's the equipment coming? It's a big empty space. That's what you want, right? So you want to be able to run through and make a cut, have 2 or 3 people doing a sporting activity. You want to have, we're talking about doing things with children as well as age. So those different effects of mobility, and we're working with another researcher that's going to take the same technology here and then take it out into the community as well, around the same idea of measuring function. How well can we do the things that we want to do? Can we measure those things? I'm going to stop really soon. The lab is one of the most versatile labs in the country and definitely in the world. It's not the largest, but in terms of the versatility, in terms of the kinds of things that we can do in here, and especially combined with the kinds of technologies and modeling and analysis tools that we've developed as well. It gives us a great ability to kind of get at that leading edge of the technology and biomechanical assessment. So let's see what it can do. We'll start again. I'm going to show you a little bit about, I'm going to get rid of this thing. And put in the floor, and we've got 4 of them. And if he steps on that, all that is like a bathroom scale. So you see the arrow up here. It's measuring where, it's right under his foot there as he pushes on that. And it's also going up and down, measuring how hard he's hitting the ground. We're trying to get forces and motion. So you can see that exactly if he steps on 2 of them, you'll see it move back and forth. And not only is it where exactly and how, but you can see it's the direction as well. And that's where it all starts in terms of doing biomechanical analysis. What are they doing from the ground, and then we work our way up. Of course, I'm most excited about this stuff here. It's worth it. They're really cool that they went at it. The real business is the cameras that are up there, and many of you, somebody commented, what are we having a Pixar convention here? When we saw the Simone, and where's the other one? The dressed up with the markers around. So yes, the technology here is exactly the same as that's been used in the entertainment industry for computer animation. For, my son plays the basketball game on his Xbox, and they use a motion capture to get those players first. So that's exactly the same technology. What they're doing is these cameras are quite smart. These cameras allow the measurement in 3D space to within about 1 millimeter of every one of these little reflective balls. So they flood the room with infrared light, and the infrared light reflects back to the camera, and the cameras all know where each other are, so we get exactly that space. And we can get that to, I guess, about 1,000 microseconds. So we get it fast, and we get the location of it. And that's what we see. So that's the first level. That's the camera saying, oh, we know where he is, and we've got these markers on there. And of course, it's a 3D space, so we can look at it from whichever perspective that we want. And if we can get them to move, then you start seeing, oh, okay, now we've got, and again, this gets to the kind of the versatility of being able to do more than just walking and, more athletic activities. Oh, this is where he's, yes, exactly. And this is at the level that the animators will take. So once they have this, then they go and they'll put a skin over those markers, and they'll do some, make them look like whatever, the dome from Lord of the Rings, they'll put that on top of the markers and put a different skin and say, oh, we know exactly how he moved, and then they can put it into their animation. That's interesting and stuff, but our interest is more towards the biomechanics. I want to know, when he did that handstand, what were the forces on in his knee joint? Was that putting a loading, did that create some characteristic in his knee that might predispose him to go away? Osteoarthritis. That's those are the research questions that we have. Is your walking pattern the way I walk? Could that be part of the reason why I get arthritis and he doesn't? So those are the kind of questions that we get. And of course, to do that, that's what you have here in terms of now we've got some modeling on it. Now we've joined it. Now we have that. This is a human and it has certain properties. So it has some musculoskeletal, mostly skeletal. I don't see any muscles. We've got some idea of model, and then we can either measure the muscles or we can put another, try and model that aspect as well. But now we can start saying, okay, what's the exact angle? The knee isn't just a hinge. There's a three-dimensional linkage there that provides a lot of different kinds of motions. Well, we can measure that and show that to this person real time. So if you think of gait retraining, or if you find a biomechanical pattern that says you get arthritis and you don't, we could train the person with this kind of technology because they could see themselves in real time. I forget where I'm supposed to go next, Amy.
I believe we have some golfing.
Oh no, we're going to do all muscle.
No, we had some with D&D.
So we measure, so that's all the measurement. There's other things you can measure. Measure VO2, the amount of volume oxygen you're consuming while you're doing this in terms of the energy. But again, our interest is primarily in musculoskeletal systems. So to get an idea of the muscles, because do you have the guns?
We'll get there.
Okay, we're going to get to the guns. So we have these little sensors that go on top of the muscles. And these are very much similar to the ECG type electrodes that you put on for a heart. The beauty thing is that a heart gives you a nice little tracing of the beautiful pattern that we've all seen on TV, beat. On regular muscles, it's kind of an amplitude thing. So when we get that signal, you get to see, and we can see if a muscle is active and how much it's active. And then again, that gets at some of the loading. So what we see down below, if you can see it in yellow, oh my gosh, gold guy. Give me some pull. So this is giving us activity down here in terms of measuring what's happening in the muscles. You'll be able to try this. There's a few sensors. I encourage you to put these things on yourself. So what it gets to us is that we can say when they're walking, hey, this subject or these types of subjects have a neuromuscular pattern that's different and perhaps causing or exacerbating the disease progression. And we've seen some of that. Okay, so that's kind of like the base limit of this thing, but I'd like to show you some of the more fun things that we can do. So I'm going to ask Ross and Scott, where are they? Ross is a postdoc, who's just been offered a job at Maryland as a professor. So it's good news for him and bad news for me. And Scott is a senior PhD student in the lab. And they're going to. So you're welcome. What we do golf analysis.
Yeah, so when people hear that we can do motion capture, we can do force analysis, they often say, well, can you look at my golf swing? I don't know. So what we can do is we can measure the forces, we can measure the motion. We may or may not be able to make your golf swing any better. We can show you a demonstration of what we can track. So as you can see, there's one camera that's a little different from the rest, and it has a clear lens as opposed to a filtered lens there, and that allows us to take visual video from it. So Ross is nicely waving the camera here, and you can see the same blue arrows we were measuring there. So if Ross takes a couple of golf swings, what do you notice about the arrows? Well, if you're a golfer, it's important that you want to transfer your weight from your back leg onto your front leg as you swing through and transfer that momentum right into the ball. So looking at Ross's swing here, he swings forward. He's doing a pretty good job of getting that front force arrow to take all his weight as it follows through. The other item of interest we might track would be the club head, and we'll give Amy a few seconds to switch over from capturing video to capturing the markers. But again, we just put it as fast as a golf swing. So here we go. We've got a red dot, and we'll actually collect a trial here so that we can recreate the trajectory that this club is following.
So when we were designing the space in here, we were swinging a golf club. This is how high.
We had to be careful not to hit the projector.
When you're ready.
Okay.
Beautiful.
You want to keep your head down a little more.
And feel free, anybody who wants to take a swing today, we have right and left-handed balls.
Oh, nice.
To do that. So here we go. We've got Ross's swing. So what you want to see here, I'll just
handicap.
You want to see that the club's not swinging in and out of the plane. You can see that if you look from behind, that the club traced a nice clean plane. We could put markers on his head and his shoulders and his hips to look at how he's twisting to store energy in his body. But as a simple demonstration, we can see some pretty fast motions here. And there we go.
Okay, so what I'm going to say again in the center back corner is a muscle strength tester that we're calling it. The treadmill is going to be running in a minute or two. And again, what's really special about the treadmill is it's got these same sensors built into it. So that's what's kind of nice about it. And then we've got an EMG tester as well, so you can try your muscle activity. And we've got food and some videos. And if you just want to chat, grab somebody with a blue shirt on or myself and take a couple questions. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.